Okay, hi everybody. Sorry about that little glitch with our Twitch stream key. Anyway, welcome to another episode of Screen Heroes. Thank you all for joining us. For those of you out there joining us live, thank you. We'll talk to you guys in chat shortly. I'm Derek, and I'll introduce everybody that we have here. Russ is our special guest, so we'll introduce you first. Russ, you want to say hi to everybody?
Hi to everybody.
And I don't know, tell us something about you. You've never been on before.
I haven't been on before. The last time I was hanging out with you guys, I think we were doing the audio only podcast, and it was the Battle Royale podcast that we did at the library.
Oh,
ages
yeah.
ago.
Back when we did our cosplay podcast. That was a while ago.
That was a while ago. I am a Kansas City area photographer who specializes in cosplay photography, and that's how I know all of these wonderful people. And you may have seen some of my work from this wonderful person on her Facebook and or stuff. So yeah, no, that's where people can see my work, etc., etc.
And then, of course, I have my two regular hosts, Ryan.
Hello.
And Ray.
What's up?
So, it's cool. We like having new guests on. So, Russ is a first-time guest, you know, and this is kind of a tryout for him to see if we'll have him back.
Yeah, because there have been guests we have not invited back after their tryout.
God, I hope the lighting's good.
Usually people dress up on their first time. Come on.
I thought I would break the mold, and
okay.
Now
you're breaking something.
Now I'm really feeling self-conscious.
It is a Marvel. It's a Marvel shirt. I mean, he's the only one wearing a Marvel shirt.
That's true. Well, we make Marvel stuff at Buster Props, so I mean,
wow.
Shameless plug.
Yeah.
He just wanted to show his boobs.
I didn't realize we had advertising on the program.
Well, are you gonna charge me now?
Yeah.
I'll hand you $5 every time you plug.
10 cents a click, and
there you go.
All right. Well, anyway,
I'll give you your dollar later.
Thank you. Okay, so what are we talking about this week? For those who are not aware, we are each going to pitch our own Marvel Netflix show.
Woo!
And I don't know about you guys, but mine the idea would be that it either fits in or does not contradict with the existing Marvel Netflix shows of Daredevil and Jessica Jones and so forth. So Russ is bringing out his notes here for those who are not seeing the video feed.
Ready to go.
Ryan has like
a 4 pages.
He printed off a manuscript.
I wrote 13 episodes. I hope that's okay. We're going to go through every single episode. I want you guys to follow every story arc.
You really want us to read your script. I know. I understand. Some of us are definitely more prepared than others for this conversation.
That's okay. I'll be able to talk plenty.
Oh, goody.
In his spare time, he writes Twilight fan fiction.
Yeah, so I just translated it to Marvel stuff for this week.
Right. So
Bella and Edward, you're going to love who they are.
Just.
They sparkle and everything.
Oh,
it's going to be great.
God. Why?
Captain America has a sparkly shield. It's really cool. Only in the sunlight, though.
Oh my god,
so
I need to buy a shield.
His shield is a vampire?
Yes. This is a big twist. I was going to reveal it later, but...
Somebody please start.
All right. So let's go ahead and get started. Now, I know, Russ, it sounded like you kind of wanted to go last.
I would actually like to go last, but that depends on how much time last is going to have. If Ryan's going to pitch,
well, we'll go through
movie.
parts
at a time.
Okay.
All right.
So then we're gonna have. I think Ray, you should go first.
All right.
I totally feel like this.
So I had 3 ideas total, but I'm sticking with my most recent one. I originally thought I would do a Sam Fury Shield show in the 60s and 70s. I thought that would be really cool, but anytime you do a period piece, you do kind of box it in, and he wouldn't be able to cross over with a lot. Now, he could have Agent Carter and Hank Pym and Howard Stark on the show if they were to get those actors on, but it would limit it. So I decided not to do that. My second idea was to do Namor and have a flashback of him in the 1940s himself with now. But again, I decided against Namor because he is an aggressive and often violent character, and that doesn't always translate well in the 2010s-ish. So I'm going with Tigra.
Oh, nice. That's not who I thought you were going to pick.
Yeah.
I didn't guess that one either. So.
I'm going to Tigra because she hasn't gotten her due. She's never gotten a comic book to herself. She's in the Avengers for a very small amount of time, but she has a cool backstory, and she has a really neat kind of following. She has really cool powers. So I thought I'd go with Tigra. And I was trying to pick an actress who's done television before, so doing television now wasn't going to be a huge insult to them, but actress who is looking to revamp her career. So I went with Australian actress Emily Browning from Sucker Punch and Lemony Snicket's Unfortunate Events and the upcoming American Gods. So she's currently working, she's currently doing stunts and acting, and she would kind of be a polar opposite of Jessica Jones.
Okay, so for those who don't know, the Marvel expert that I am, so tell us a bit about Tigra. Who is she?
She is Greer Grant. She was a model who volunteered for a science experiment, obviously like a lot of people, and she ended up getting feline-esque powers. Over time, they evolved into her looking like a tiger. And when later on down the line, she finds out that the person that created her or gave her powers was from a distant planet that translates into cat people. So it's kind of like the homeworld of Thundercats. She's... You know, if that's what you want to think of it, It's kind of like Thundara. It's very similar to that, honestly. She can transform back and forth between human form and cat form, so there would be some really cool special effects on screen.
So would you have her be like practical effects when she's in tiger form, or how would you do that?
I would definitely want her in the makeup, and
in a furry suit or something? Like, is it?
Well, no, not exactly.
I don't know what kind of cat, like, she goes into a tiger?
No,
is that what it is?
She's
humanoid. Okay, she's like a Thundercat. She's like a Thundercat.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I would imagine if the Thundercats were not animated, there would be fur.
That's true.
Right.
Yeah.
So, I'm just curious, but...
It'd probably be fur. That'd be a little difficult. In the comics, she wears pretty much a bikini.
Okay.
Because, you know, she is a cat.
Sure.
I know tiger.
So
Russ might have that one printed out somewhere.
I mean, what? Yes.
But the cool thing is about Tigra, whatever you want to call her, she's very fluid. She's gone from team to team. She's worked with a ton of different people. And throughout the story, she's been a black woman and a white woman. They've switched it up a few times. So even if they were to pick up this TV show tomorrow, they could cast whoever they wanted in that role.
Okay. So would you have this connect directly with what they've been doing with the Defenders characters, or would this be kind of its own?
She's from New York, so I would have it be in New York. It would have to be a dark story, because honestly, how are you going to take a Thundercat seriously? It would come off very campy. So I would have it be kind of a darker story. And my villain that she's going to go up against is kind of a scary guy when you think about it. So I thought that would have been interesting too. But we'll talk about that more when we get to antagonists and villains.
Okay. Sounds good. So, okay, so she's in New York. Is she in Hell's Kitchen, or is she in a different part of New York?
She's not, but, you know, Hell's Kitchen is a hop, skip, and a jump from...
So she's in New York like Spider-Man's in New York?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, most of the Marvel superheroes are in New York.
Right. I just wasn't sure if it was specific.
She's also lived in LA, so if you wanted to have the show in LA and do like a West Coast Avengers thing, you totally could. She was part of the West Coast.
That would be interesting. That'd be a nice change of scenery.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
She definitely wouldn't be tied down to the events happening with the Defenders.
Yeah.
Right.
So that'd be kind of cool. I'd like to see that.
You could add her to it, or you could separate it. Either way, it's fine.
Cool. Okay. Then I guess, Ryan, do you want to pitch us your...
I mean, are you ready for that?
I mean, I am ready for your elevator pitch.
There's no elevator pitch.
No
You know how I operate. We've done these before. Okay. So if I'm going to pitch this, I'm gonna need you to get into a meditative state so that you can imagine these things in your head. Okay. I'm going to play out up to the title scene for you.
Are you gonna need her?
We might.
Do you want her?
Okay.
Oh my god.
The scene is going to open.
For those who can't see what's happening because you're actually listening to the podcast as a podcast, we have a set with lots of toys and collectibles and stuff around us, and there happens to be a Funko Pop vinyl of the character Ray believes this to be, and that's who she was alluding to.
She believes it to be. No confirmation yet.
I don't know for sure, so Ryan,
Okay.
wow me.
So the first scene, it's going to open. You're going to be up in the sky on Iron Man's back, right? He's going to be flying through the air. You hear Highway to Hell or some other AC/DC song playing in his helmet. You hear Jarvis come over and say, Marquette National Forest is 15 kilometers ahead, sir. Iron Man says, thanks, Jarvis. Keep a constant scan for Hydra technology going, will you? We need to keep them from finding the SHIELD base. Hydra, right?
Should I ruin the Jarvis thing for him?
Yeah.
Okay, I know Jarvis isn't around anymore. But whatever. We're going for it.
Friday.
Okay, whatever.
Come on, she's awesome.
Of course, sir. And whatever. They do that little thing. You can see the Iron Man suit from the inside now, and you see like it's highlighted an area of the forest. And basically, he needs to go down and explore that. There's some dialogue I'm cutting out there for time's sake.
I don't think the Ewoks are in the MCU. Man.
It's not an Ewok, Derek. But they see a humanoid. They see like a humanoid kind of shape and heat signature down in the forest. So you see Iron Man kind of do poof, hit the forest floor, 3-point landing like he always does when he lands.
Of course.
Big old slam. You hear him say, yeah, exactly. You hear him tell whoever's in the forest to come out. He knows they're there. And you see you hear a female voice go, "Oh my gosh, it's really you!" And really excited. And from behind the trees comes Squirrel Girl.
Dun, da, da.
In her old like gray spandex suit with like the fur bracers.
Give her the full title.
The fur vest. That's coming.
Oh, okay.
She's clearly very excited. She's a teenager at this point, probably like 15, and she's got like really bad haircut and like braces and stuff, just super young. And he Iron Man obviously confused. Who are you? And she says, "I'm Squirrel Girl. I'm here to try out for the Avengers." Very excited. And do you want to see my powers? And she starts like, before he even responds, starts jumping up in the trees and like doing very gymnastic type stuff. Iron Man starts to laugh and he says that he already knows a kid that can do that kind of stuff. And just as he's finishing that, boom, blue blast from behind, electronic blast. He's knocked out, fade to black. You can hear Red Skull is alive. You can hear him.
Is it Hugo Weaving?
It's Hugo Weaving's voice. You hear him say, "That was too easy, Mr. Stark," or however his accent goes. I'm not going to do the accent.
This is like, did you guys watch Parks and Rec? This is Patton Oswalt's pitch about merging Star
Basically.
Wars and the MCU.
Except this is all MCU.
In the filibuster episode. This is what this is.
This is better. You see your black screen. You come to like you're in Iron Man's vision, and you can kind of see you're inside a ship. You can see some guards with guns. You hear over the intercom in German, Red Skull's voice starting to get paranoid, agitated, kind of like something's getting ready to happen. The guards are starting to kind of frantically look around, and it starts to hear static. And you're seeing this all from Iron Man's point of view. You can see his suit over in the corner, like all destroyed. He's obviously been pulled out of it. And you start to see squirrels chewing their way through the speakers. And then they start coming out of the vents. And the guards start shooting crazy. And one of the bullets hits Tony Stark while he's laying there, and it fades to black again. And that's when it cuts to the title sequence. The title card says, "The Unbeatable Squirrel Girl, kicking butts and eating nuts." That's the intro for my show. I'm going to get my big cameo out right in the beginning.
Phase 4, right out of the gate.
You don't see her beat Red Skull. It's just like the comic books. You just know that it happens.
She just does. Yeah. So you've got Hugo Weaving and Robert Downey Jr.
You don't ever see Hugo Weaving. He doesn't have to show up on set. He doesn't have to do any of the makeup. You just need his voice.
But you do need Robert Downey Jr.
It would help, certainly. Yeah, I mean, I guess he could keep the Iron Man suit on the whole time, but kind of when I'm envisioning it, he lets the helmet up, when he's talking to her.
Sure.
But,
so at $50 million a movie, it's got to be like $10 million for an episode.
Well, he's going to do this out of the kindness of his own heart, because who doesn't want to see the Squirrel Girl show? And he's definitely a fan.
Okay. Okay.
I think that pitch actually could work.
Right? How great would that be?
Because I think Downey would probably be like, "Oh, it's Squirrel Girl.
Let's do it.
I can give you 30 minutes.
Get me in an Iron Man suit and let's do this.
Wow. Okay. That's intense.
It's very cool. It's definitely a different intro than what we're used to for the other shows, and you can tell by the title card and the excitement of the character that she's definitely not going to be Daredevil or Jessica Jones. You know, she's a different kind of character.
Right.
Kicking butts and eating nuts is the tagline that kind of, if you weren't already sure. Don't like it.
Who's
All
your
right.
actress?
No. It's
So
a
who's my actress?
It's a fun idea, but
We're
it's,
going to
it's
that.
a little.
Yes.
Okay. So
Stop.
it's not one of the ones. There's been several that have been like I want to do this, and I'm not going to go with any of them. I'm going to go with somebody that I don't know that anybody's thought of. Felicity Jones, who plays Jyn Erso in Rogue One. If you've ever seen her smile, it's going to sound bad, but the way her teeth are shaped are great for Squirrel Girl. She doesn't have buck teeth, but it's just the general, and she looks like it. She's a brunette. Her face is good for it.
She, however, does not look like she's 15.
She does not look like she's 15. We'd have to do some young makeup on her for that scene, but
Does Squirrel Girl, does she have to be? 15?
no, she's gonna be
That was
older
what he
later
said
in the
in his
series.
script.
But in the
I'm
beginning,
sorry,
she's
I
like an
missed that.
excited teenager. But after
Gotcha.
the title card, it's gonna be different.
So
But-
then you just have to do the Jeff Bridges Tron CGI for like
yeah,
a
but she's
couple
not
scenes.
that much older.
So,
than,
you know.
All right, let's
so-
be fair here. Since Jeff Bridges was young and they moved it up to RDJ being young in Civil War, they made some strides, making it look
Yeah.
less uncanny valley.
So I don't think it'll be a problem especially if it's only for a few scenes.
Yeah, it's just for the first title card. That's
Right.
it.
Okay,
Okay, Derek.
that works.
Elevator pitch, make it happen.
Follow that up, Derek.
No, mine's much more simplistic.
You don't have Hugo Weaving and Robert Downey Jr. in the first.
I
5
don't
minutes?
have either of those. In fact, I don't have. Okay, I'll just go into it.
Do it. Let's hear it.
So, for me, it's Blade. Okay, I've talked
I
about
knew
Blade
that.
before. I love Blade. I love
great,
Wesley
yeah.
Snipes' Blade, and I think that we desperately need more Blade, whether it's movies or TV shows. I don't really care which it is, but we need more of it. And Wesley Snipes still wants to do it, which is great.
He is very ageless.
He really is.
Let's do this.
He can still do it. It's not really a problem. So for me, Blade TV show.
A better one this time.
In my mind, there hasn't been a Blade TV show. So I basically had two different routes we could take it. It could either be a continuation of the movies, in which case you bring Wesley Snipes back, or it could be a brand new reboot, in which case I would want to cast Michael B. Jordan, take him away from Fox,
I can see that.
and give him an opportunity to be a really good MCU character, which is what Marvel Studios has done with several actors.
Mm-hmm.
So I think they could definitely make that work with Michael B. Jordan. You don't believe me? Go watch Creed, and then you will. So basically, I wanted to take the Night Stalkers storyline, where it's Blade, the Hannibal King, and Frank Drake together, fighting vampires and Hydra and all that type of stuff. And so basically have the three of them together. Now, obviously, if it's a continuation of the movies, I don't think Ryan Reynolds is going to be doing a MCU TV show on Netflix, given
Right.
that he is Deadpool
He
now.
can't be a sea juggling thunder sea.
What?
Keep going.
Yes.
Keep going.
Okay,
Goes well on that.
so anyway,
Now here's my question: would you actually have it? Would you prefer the post-movie storyline, or would you try and do a reset back to 1990s Night Stalkers, to where Blade isn't actually the Daywalker? He's just a guy who's really good at killing people with sharp, pointy objects.
no, I liked him being the Daywalker. I always thought that was a cool subplot to have for him, and I thought it gave him some unique advantages. So I do want that. I'm not so sure I want all of the stories that happened in the trilogy to have happened. They're not all great. Some are better than others. Two's pretty bad. Two's pretty bad. So we could skip 2, kind of like what Jurassic World did with 2 and 3. But
3 was good, minus Jessica Biel and the ridiculous wrestlers that were there for no reason.
the talking Velociraptor.
Oh no, I was talking about 3.
Blade.
3.
Oh, Blade 3. I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
There was a talking Velociraptor in Blade 3, though. That's
Yeah,
In my
I
head,
missed that.
when you said the wrestlers, I'm like, when was that in Jurassic Park? I don't remember that, but okay. Maybe that was also on the plane. I don't know. Okay, so anyway, So the way I would kind of have the first season arc go is the main villain would be the Danny Ghost Rider, who the Night Stalkers did fight in the comic books for a little while. So I thought that would be a cool way to kind of tie in some of the actual comic book storylines. You have him be the villain for, first half of the season or so before they kind of join forces. And then the big bad guy, the Fisk, so to speak, of season 1 would be Lilith, which for those who don't know, she's the daughter of Dracula. Well, in one version, she's the daughter of Dracula. That's the version I want to pick. So I thought that would be a really great villain to have to balance that out, since it's a bunch of dudes in my story.
So basically, you want to do the Midnight Sun storyline? Because that's what you're basically. It sounds like you're describing.
I mean, more or less.
Okay.
I mean, not straight, not straight off the pages,
right.
But the big points.
Oh, that's a good run of comics. I enjoyed them.
And then my big cameo, though, and I feel like we could pull this one off logistically because he does TV, and that would be Doctor Strange.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, you'd need him.
I'd be excited.
Reforming the Night Stalkers,
Right.
you'd have to have him.
And he's still doing Sherlock when he's not doing, a bunch of movies, and his movie is coming out, and it'd be a cool way to bring Blade in if Doctor Strange's movie does well.
Yeah.
So that would be my big cameo, would have him kind of bring those three together, which is why I kind of wanted to keep the third movie, because then Blade and the Hannibal King have this history already in the movies. Mm-hmm. You don't have to assume anything. It was already there, but you'd have to recast them, of course. So
if we got a Blade, then we'd have to get Ghost Rider and Moon Knight, and then have them do like a Supernatural Defenders type team up. That would be pretty cool. And bring Doctor Strange in for that.
Well, so Ghost Rider is rumored to be on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. So
It's a different Ghost Rider.
It's a different
I'm
Ghost
talking
Rider.
Johnny Blaze Ghost Rider, like traditional.
Which one's supposed to be on S.H.I.E.L.D.?
I don't remember his name. He's a newer Ghost Rider.
Oh, I thought, okay.
No.
So I specifically picked the Danny Ghost Rider kind of pseudo-villain thing because I thought Johnny Blaze was...
It's like Reyes or something like that, I think.
It's the third one.
Reyes?
I can't remember the name. I thought the name was Reyes.
Yeah.
Okay.
They did not
drives
choose
a muscle
Danny
car.
or Johnny.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like drives a muscle car.
I thought, so one of the reasons I wanted to pick having the Danny Ghost Rider was because I thought it would be cool to have the big two Ghost Riders in the MCU at the same time. Very different, settings, but I'm fine with it. I'm
Put
still,
Johnny in there too, and that
maybe
be
season 2.
Oh,
I don't
okay.
want, you can't have two Ghost Riders in the same season on the same show. Like, that's just weird.
Fair enough.
I mean,
They did it
like
in
if
the
you
Cage
had
movie.
It's like if you had like 3 or 4 speedsters on the same Flash show.
Yeah, who
at
would
the
do
same
that?
time. I mean, all right. So that would be my big first season. Would be first half is you've got the Ghost Rider kind of battle-ish, kind of like they were trying to do with the Punisher in season 2 of Daredevil, but not take all season. Have it only be maybe 3 to 5 episodes before he joins them, and then have it be Lilith for the rest of the season.
Robbie Reyes.
Robbie Reyes, that's what it is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
And he's actually the 4th. There was a female who was the 3rd, apparently. I never read hers, but...
I didn't know
That
there
would
was
be pretty
4.
cool.
So okay, so there's mine.
All right.
So
You're up, bro.
All right. So I had 3 that I did, and I'm not gonna lie. My first string was Night Stalkers, because I felt that it would go really, really well with what Netflix has set up previously with Daredevil. Nice, low tech, but it's a solid concept because the whole ordinary guys battling mystical evil. That's a tried and true TV trope, man.
yeah,
That
totally.
was solid right down to the bone. I would say that I would have gone with the depowered Blade to start with, because that way you can bring in Mobius, the living vampire, and that's how he gets his powers in the comic. So he,
That would be cool to see.
Right, remembering that that he didn't get his Daywalker stuff until 2001, and in 99, 98, 97 is when he got those powers in the comics. So that's where Wesley Snipes pulled it from. But since you stole my answer,
Sorry, but
that's why I have backups. I had a few concepts. So Derek has my number 1. My number 3 was since Netflix has shown that they are willing to do animated series, Voltron being an example.
yeah.
Okay, so they've proven that they're willing to put down the money to get the same studio that did Avatar. So I'm all on board with that. The only way you could make this idea that I had work would be for it to be an animated series.
You have my attention.
Next Wave. Give me Next Wave. Give me Robot Man, Veronica Rambeau, Elsa
That's
Bledsoe,
fantastic.
Boom
I
Boom.
would so watch that.
Written by the man himself, Warren Ellis. You can't replicate Next Wave any other way.
Wow.
So an animated series written by Warren Ellis.
I would absolutely watch that.
So, but that's my number 3. Here's my
like
new
that.
number 1.
Okay.
I think that it is way past time when we have not only a positive female protagonist. Jessica Jones is great, but Jessica
Jessica's
Jones is
fantastic.
super dark.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, it is.
And
Because it fits the tone of Daredevil.
Right.
And, yeah.
But also, I feel like we need to have more minority representation.
Yes.
And we need to nail a minority who is basically completely misunderstood within this country. Which is why I'm going to go ahead and say Miss Marvel.
Kamala
For
Khan.
Kamala Khan. And the first, year and a half worth of comics would be the first season. It's actually great. We have the high school student who's not only trying to fit into American culture, but into superhero culture. You have the ability to, like Squirrel Girl, bring in virtually anybody you want for cameos. And you can get out of Hell's Kitchen and the Bronx and go somewhere else in New York City and actually kind of, have a teenage drama, which apparently is, I'm so far being removed from that I can't even see it with a telescope. But apparently it still sells. Teenage dramas still sell really well.
Mm-hmm.
It's
So-
the only thing I can explain Vampire Diaries.
Yeah.
Like
Vampire Diaries,
Yeah.
Teen Wolf, I mean, you
Pretty
name it.
Little Liars.
Pretty Little Liars, it still sells, and it sells in a big mainstream way.
Yeah.
So here's a teenage drama with superheroes, a coming of age, fitting in America story with a positive female protagonist who's a person of color in an ethnicity that needs more positive exposure. That's my pitch
Yeah.
for the Netflix.
I would imagine it would be incredibly popular. Her series is. It'd be a little expensive. Her powers are a little complicated. But
Her powers are a little complicated, but I think no more or less so than Quake's powers on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah.
it's a fair point.
I mean, you don't have to have her doing all the stuff on camera. I mean, you're going to have a couple of fights where she's going to embiggen the fist and throw it through a wall. But a lot of the kind of jumpy, runny, chasey stuff that she doesn't do with her powers. As I recall, I will be the first one to admit I haven't been keeping up quite as much as I probably should. But
No, and with CBS and CW doing Supergirl and Legends of Tomorrow, there's a lot of special effects on TV now. So it would be given a little bit of slack from that standpoint because as long as it looked as good as that stuff,
yeah.
it should be okay.
So I feel like that would be my pick, would be Miss Marvel for Netflix.
It would definitely be very different than the other Netflix shows.
And I feel like it wouldn't have to be tied in with the Defenders.
No.
Like, I think Netflix has got it in their heads that they really want to try and pull off the Avengers hat trick.
Yeah.
Where it's like, we got this show, then we got this show, then we got this show, and now we got the Defenders. And it's like, okay, that's great, but how about we just do a show that's there to do a show?
Yeah. No, I think it would have to be that way because it would be nowhere near as dark or adult-oriented as at least Daredevil and Jessica Jones.
So why does that need to be on Netflix then specifically? Like I feel like that would be better on with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Well, because I don't
on the
feel
network.
I don't trust the networks. For one, I feel like the networks would try and whitewash her, for lack of a better term. I think they would try to make.
Look at the two major shows that ABC has right now involving minorities as the main characters. They're called Blackish and Off the Boat. It's like, hey, we took this group that's not white and look, they are so not white. We're going to name the show after them being not white and we're going to make fun of them for not being white. So,
And I feel like there could be some hot button topics, like if I'm remembering right, I think like her brother or her cousin or something is an imam at a mosque, and he tends to get in trouble for shooting his mouth off. And I feel like the networks would try and shy away from the fact that her ethnicity and her heritage are a big part of her upbringing and a big part of her life on a day-to-day basis, and they would just be kind of like, and they would want to make. I feel like the networks would want to make Kamala more American than she is in the comics, and the whole point of Kamala Khan, I know for a fact in the first year, is that she's American, but she's really heavily influenced by her family and her culture and her religion. And I'm like, I have this awful vision in my head of Kamala doing the good schoolgirl, the good daughter, bad schoolgirl thing, where she gets around the corner from her house and ditches the headscarf and puts on a short skirt because she's an American, darn it. No, that's not the character.
I mean, to your point, I think there's a lot of people, myself included, who just don't trust the big networks anymore. It's why I wanted Supergirl to move to the CW, and it's why I'm glad that the new Star Trek show is on the streaming site and not actually on CBS. I don't really trust the big networks to give a show a fair shake. And Netflix does, because you're going to produce the whole season at once and you're going to throw it out there, and it would be cool to see something that's legitimate and kid focused at the same time, or at least family friendly at the same time. So far Netflix's best family friendly shows are animated. All the live action stuff, for the most part, there's some exceptions, but most of it's adult stuff.
Well, I mean, I don't even feel like Ms. Marvel would necessarily need to be family oriented. There's some pretty heavy stuff that goes down in that comic.
Yeah,
but, it definitely would not be.
It's not TVMA stuff.
Yeah, it definitely would not be these unrepentant, blood-soaked slugfest that Daredevil and Jessica Jones are.
I mean, so far what we've had from Marvel would be rated R.
Yeah,
So
least, yeah.
I mean, I imagine that maybe Iron Fist and Luke Cage will be different, but I doubt it.
Well, I mean, Luke Cage is bulletproof, so I mean, you're not going to
That
see a lot
doesn't
of
lower.
blood
That's
from
true.
him.
That's true. That doesn't lower.
Daredevil, there was blood everywhere from him.
So I feel very strongly that what Marvel Netflix needs is something that's a little bit less. We're all gonna die.
Brighter.
Yeah,
a little bit
something brighter,
Yeah.
right? And as somebody who appreciates gritty and dark, dear God, man.
Yeah.
Those aren't shows that I can personally binge watch. I watch one, I take a 10-minute breather. For Jessica Jones, maybe I cry in the shower for a little while. Maybe I revert back to smoking, maybe I call my mom, see how she's doing. Ms. Marvel wouldn't be like that.
No.
I mean, between Miss Marvel and Next Wave, I mean, tell me you couldn't see the bright primary colors.
Yeah.
I mean, they could do for the Marvel TV shows what Flash and Supergirl have done for the DC ones, where Arrow, at its best, was still really, was its darkest. When it was really nitty gritty and it was really in the slugfests in the street, like Daredevil. That was really dark, and it was kind of hard to watch sometimes because of that. Not quality. It was good, but dark. And Flash brought in that jovial brightness, comic booky sense.
But it still had a seriousness to it.
Yeah.
He still deals with personal loss and responsibility. Yeah, it's very...
Ms. Marvel could totally do that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's not easy being a 15-year-old anyway, boy or a girl, being a superhero on top of it, being one living in a city where, most people hate you.
But she could be outside in, the daylight.
Yeah.
Which I know, I didn't realize that was one of Daredevil's things.
Daredevil does that in the last episode.
I know. I mean, we're poking fun a little bit, but, it was one of those things where, the show is just so dark all the time. It would be nice to see some color. To see her bright colored, costume and,
And I mean, her very much her optimism is infectious. I mean, it's
Squirrel Girls too.
Squirrel Girls too.
Yeah.
I mean, they're kind of cut from the same cloth.
Yeah.
Squirrel Girl and Miss Marvel.
Yeah. See, I didn't really break the pattern.
Them being comic book besties. I want them to hang.
Ryan's like, no, that's not what I wrote.
No, I have my pitch. That's not happening. Maybe in season 2.
Wow.
See, I guess I played it kind of safe because my Blade stuff, while I didn't have any direct connections or anything, the tone would be very similar to what we've had so far.
But I feel like that works. Of the 4, I feel like if we were all pitching and a studio exec is saying, oh, I'm going to pick one of you today.
They'd pick yours.
They pick yours because yours is the safest.
It's the safest one, yeah.
Exactly.
It totally, especially if you got Wesley Snipes, a guy who's done the role already successfully.
Yep.
You know, and you have some star power
Ryan's
with that.
would be passed on because his is the most expensive.
That's probably true.
Well, they'd find a way to cheapen it, but I'd just it'd be like, it's kind of like the Deadpool, but for you guys. And then they'd be like, oh, we're doing this. Because everybody wants to be Deadpool now.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, and I mean, for yours, I mean, they said, well, we already have a lead female show,
Yeah.
so we're good.
That's true. Yeah, we don't need any more.
We're done with women.
Yeah.
We put like 3 women in this show.
I
You're
will
good,
say,
right?
I am surprised you didn't pick She-Hulk. I really thought you were
I
gonna
thought so
pick
too.
She-Hulk.
That would have been my
Here's the
pick for
thing,
you.
though. She-Hulk has already been rumored to be the next Marvel Netflix show, and also to show up in the Avengers. So
I didn't know that last part.
I have no idea what they're going to do with She-Hulk. Actresses have been campaigning for the role for a really long time. People want it. We're gonna see it. And if we ever get a standalone Hulk film again, She-Hulk will be in that movie. I guarantee it. So
From a rights perspective, who owns her? Because I know
Marvel.
Universal
Marvel
still
does.
owns Hulk.
Marvel
Universal
owns it.
only owns Hulk.
Only owns Hulk.
Yeah,
Okay.
they don't even own anybody in there. Not Thunderbolts, not Betty, just
Okay,
Hulk.
I wasn't sure because I know Sony and Spider-Man's
Yeah,
deal is
no,
different.
Universal-
So
Well, Universal doesn't actually own Hulk. I'm
Right.
pretty sure they only own the rights to
To
the
a
DVDs
solo.
and things like that.
well, they own the rights to solo Hulk
movies?
films,
Okay.
which is why there hasn't been another
Right.
solo one because
I thought it was because they had production rights for the movies and stuff, so they would get the money from the movies and Marvel wouldn't get anything past
no,
that.
Marvel can only use him in an ensemble, which is one of the weirdest
That is strange.
little stipulations.
It's a reason
but
why they're adding him into Ragnarok. He
Yeah,
has no
it's-
reason being in that story.
He's going to be at 49% of the movie, so that he just enough to make
Right.
it so it's not his movie.
yeah. No, it's a fair point though because he's such a big character. So I just wasn't sure because I know that the deal with Spider-Man is Sony owns the whole Spider-Verse, so like Marvel can't use Venom.
See, one of my ideas also, I was thinking about using Jessica Drew because I like Spider-Woman. And I was really hoping that she would actually show up in Captain Marvel because in the comics they're best friends. They rely on each other all the time. And he says, well, my Fox owns the Spider-Verse.
Sony.
Sony.
yeah.
Sony owns the Spider-Verse, and I feel like both have a good legal argument because Spider-Woman in the comics, if you read her, she has nothing to do with Spider-Man. She does not have spider powers. She does not have anything similar. She never talks to Peter Parker, never hangs out with him. The two of their comics never cross. She's always with the Avengers.
I think you'd have a hard time selling that to a jury, though.
Yeah.
That's my problem. Is she has Spider in the name. She's
And that's
Spider-Woman, just like Superman, Superwoman, Supergirl. Everyone just assumes they're together.
Yeah.
Batgirl, Batwoman, Batman.
And frankly, that's kind of a straw man argument because Supergirl, Superwoman, Superman, they are all pretty much of a thing. Batgirl, Batman, Batwoman, they are all pretty much of a thing. But Spider-Woman and Spider-Man are completely different.
Yeah.
But the thing is, from a
From
legal
From
perspective,
a civilian's standpoint, there's nothing to this spider in the name.
what do they know?
Yeah.
And you'd have to somehow convince a jury of people that she is or isn't in that universe. And I don't know how the contracts are really drawn up because it's complicated. I mean, Fox was able to use Quicksilver, and so was Marvel, and they're mutants, but they're not mutants, and it's really complex and convoluted. So I was just saying, just to play it safe, maybe go with somebody else.
Okay, so I just got to know who's Squirrel Girl fighting now.
Yeah, who's the big bad?
curious, who's the big bad in your series?
So, to tell you the big bad,
Oh my God.
We'll have to move forward to episode 3.
She has several people that she fights, and so this takes place after the Infinity War and everything has happened, and so now I'm hoping that Marvel and Fox have worked out an arrangement at some point. But
Blood being spilled.
I don't see that happening. But
maybe
good luck.
not. But Craven the Hunter is going to be one of the villains, not the main villain, but he's going to be in there, and he's actually going to kill Monkey Joe, which is one of her scrolls at one point, and that's going to be like an emotional.
Is that like an Antony moment?
It's worse than that because you've had 5 episodes of development or something for Monkey Joe, and Monkey Joe is going to be voiced by Scott Bakula. Kevin James is going to play Hippo in one
Is there
episode.
a connection with Quantum
Yes.
Leap in there?
Yes,
Like,
there
is this
is.
just one of his leaps home?
I couldn't tell you that. Eric. That's season 2. I'm going to have Peter Dinklage as Galactus if that Fox thing works out. as the voice. I mean, obviously not
Yeah,
going to be.
that's a really cool casting decision, but I mean, if I'm Fox, I'm not giving up anything.
Especially not to a Netflix TV show.
I mean,
but overall, the main villain is somebody that she meets at the beginning that are two heroes.
wait, Galactus is not the main
No,
villain?
Galactus is a 2 or 3 episode arc, and it's a really great arc. I can give you the details on that if you want. But Chipmunk Hunk and Koi Boy are the two villains at the end, and these
So
are,
you have 4 major villains in your first
they're
season.
not really major. Like these are going to be,
Okay, well, let's
Galactus
be fair
is.
here. How many villains did we have in Daredevil? Because we had like 5.
Yeah, I mean,
There's
it's,
Nobu.
and then there's an
Fist.
arcing villain.
Well, yeah.
And then a
Punisher was a villain for part of the season.
Season 2 kind of went a little bit off the rails.
Electro
from that
was
standpoint.
a villain for part of it. I mean,
But the thing
I'm
is,
just
like,
saying, I don't think it's crazy. If you're going to argue that point, then I would bring up the Daredevil
we can
argument.
talk Daredevil. I mean, in the first season, you had Nobu and Fisk and a bunch of no-names.
Right.
Right? And in season 2, you had 2 of them are not really bad guys. So
But they were at the time they were introduced.
they're all just dancing.
So I'm just flipping that because Chipmunk Hunk and Koi Boy are actually heroes at the beginning, but then they're villains at the end.
I like it.
Spoiler alert.
And Galactus's fight, she actually steals a suit. He forgets to make himself invisible to squirrels, his
course.
star sphere, when he's traveling to Earth. And so the squirrel, Monkey Joe, alerts Squirrel Girl. And so she goes and steals an Iron Man suit. And the squirrels are the ones that actually steal it, but she gets kicked out trying to steal it. But then the squirrels come out with it, and it's this big thing. But so then she flies to the moon because this is where she's going to meet Galactus, of course. Where else would you meet him?
So I hope they grab the right suit.
It's the right suit.
Yeah, because not all of it has the ice power.
She picked the spacesuit, okay, for the sake of the story. To beat him, she takes him to a planet that's a forest planet. That's all the trees are nut-bearing trees, and he overeats on nuts. He gets so full of nuts that he doesn't want to do anything, and as she's getting ready to leave, because he doesn't want to eat Earth anymore, Galactus hands her a business card.
Did you hear both of them sigh at the same time?
Galactus hands her a business card and says, "If you ever want to get into heralding, give me a call." And then she flies back to Earth and gives Iron Man a suit back, and that's like a 3-episode
Does
arc.
Vistaprint do like?
They do interdimensional and cross-space printing.
It's a different promo code.
Yeah, you have to use a different promo code.
My show is so boring. And
this
I
is like
have
a
a woman
3-episode
in
arc,
a
okay?
bikini that looks like a tiger.
You know what?
So we actually had a comment in chat about your show. Dogsthorpe thought for sure that Kraven the Hunter was going to be the big bad for your show, for the TV show.
Tigra actually faced him multiple times. It's not who I was going with, but there's definitely room for team up here because she crossed him multiple times and took him down.
Who would be the big bad?
So here's a guy who I absolutely love in the comics, and he doesn't get the same love, and it's because he's stupid looking. So they would definitely have to fix this.
Okay.
But it's Grey Gargoyle. He's Medusa. He turns things into stone.
He's a cool character.
And I want him to be played by Gerard Butler because that man is frightening. Like, he is big, he is bad, he beats everything down.
This is Marvel!
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly like that. He's going to say that.
Really?
It's very meta when he says that line. I was taking notes.
That's when he introduces Ms. Marvel.
That's when Squirrel Girl comes in to explain why there's meta things happening.
So, yeah, and she could definitely face Kraven, but let's be honest, Kraven is never a star bad guy. He's such a pompous ass, and he gets defeated usually by his own petard. So, Grey Gargoyle is a scary guy. He's very calculating. He's very, physically imposing. So he's got that smart aspect and that...
Dogsthorpe says my impression was spot on, so thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, he knows that voice very well, I'm sure.
I just think that Gerard Butler isn't working enough, and I imagine him completely, topless, painted up like...
And there it is.
Okay, yeah,
right
that's
there,
the
ladies
true
and gentlemen.
reason.
That's it. Boom.
Which is why it's just the 300 movie, but he's, a different color.
He's not 300 movie, okay?
He has the same beard. He's only wearing a loincloth.
If it was that, I would have also cast Michael Fassbender.
There you go. Why not? What role can Michael Fassbender play in this show? There's got to be somebody. There you go. Yeah, that's in the show.
I mean, can he be Magneto? They have his
That's
kid,
true.
right? So I don't really.
You
know
can just
what the
wander onto
rule
the
is.
set in the helmet and like the robe and everything, and not say who he is. Just like in the background of a shop, walk along. We're like, oh, what's going on here? Okay, keep going.
So you already listed your bad guy.
He's just like, yeah, I forgot my keys, and zoom, and walks
Yeah,
out.
exactly. Yeah, there's no explanation.
I just want to see him like they're fighting inside a warehouse or something, and then you just see the door like rise, and he walks in. He's like, "Wrong building, sorry," and then walks out again.
That'll be good.
I listed mine out. I have my
What you got?
Good
Come on,
talk.
Let's have it.
But I already mentioned mine. So
Yeah.
I said it would start.
Lilith
It would start with
Lilith,
the
Ghost-
Danny Ghost Rider,
Right.
be for just a few episodes, 3 to 5 episodes, and then it moves over to Lilith, and that would be the daughter of Dracula version of Lilith, and then
Who would you have play Lilith?
casting is really difficult. I was really trying, and outside of Blade, I really didn't come up with anybody
I'm
specific.
going to show you somebody. I want you to see if you agree with it or not.
Okay. Now my little kind of not Easter egg, but kind of seeds for season 2 would be that they would move on to be going after Hydra at that point, which I know is Hydra's not around anymore, but sometimes it is when it's
They
convenient
are.
to the story,
Come
and
on.
so they would go.
Red Skull's coming back at
right.
some point.
Oh yeah, that's a great choice.
Thank you.
Yeah. So who's that?
Yep, I'll do it.
Eva Green. Yeah, Eva Green would be a great choice for that.
She's done Penny Dreadful
Yeah.
and the 300 sequel, and she's going to be Miss Peregrine.
301 Spartans.
Dude, not mess with her. I mean, she's
No, I think she's a great choice. I think that would be awesome.
You're
for
welcome.
Lilith.
You're welcome.
So yeah, then season 2 would be some type of Hydra thing where they've got to, go after some Hydra
I
facilities.
almost went
So
with Madam Hydra as my bad guy, but
I didn't pick
Sure.
Madam Hydra specifically, but I was gonna have something where Hydra is using vampire agents. Season 2 wasn't gonna be in the United States at all.
that's a cool idea.
I was gonna have
I like
it
how
be-
all our shows can cross over and it's still good.
Yeah.
That's going to be the big team up. It's these 4 characters.
What would we call that?
Oh gosh.
the really awesome defenders.
right, yeah.
Right.
I was thinking that season 2, if they're doing this kind of like Hydra vampire thing, could be a lot of Eastern Europe, Western Russia kind of, post
I like that.
Cold War ruin type stuff.
Slavic.
So yeah.
Yeah, that's cool.
So
I love those
So
movies.
I guess for the big bad for Miss Marvel, I really don't know because most of the time when I see Miss Marvel fighting anybody, she's with the Avengers, so it's an Avengers level bad guy that
True.
she's fighting. And let's be realistic here, fisticuffs on that level does not really a team drama make. The only thing that I would tell, see, I'm not going to be like Ryan and script out everything right now. I'm going to leave it to the writers. I hire people.
Not me. I want control.
I'm a concept guy. I hire writers.
We're going to do Squirrel Girl right.
And I think the one of the few things that I'm going to tell the writers is no racist supervillains. Too easy. It's too easy. You can have her fighting the obvious racism of being a Pakistani American. That's completely legitimate, but keep it within the context of
Do it like
non-powered
X-Men
people.
did in the 60s and 70s, you
Yeah.
know? Like,
I mean, she deals with that in the comics, and that's good, and should be dealt with on television. I feel, but to my mind, a racist supervillain that she then has to beat up in order to defeat is lazy. It's lazy writing. Let's not do that.
Yeah.
no, I think that's very fair.
So
It would be better if they had some legitimate motives.
right. So I think for her, I don't know that it would make a whole lot of sense to have an overarching like Wilson Fisk style supervillain. I think what might be fun would be to have the overarching villain for her plotline be, as played out as it is, apparently it still sells. Have it be the mean girl,
yeah.
Do the standard issue high school trope
Sure.
where it's
Kind of like her version of Flash Thompson.
kinda,
That
and
makes sense.
whether or not she gets reformed, the mean girl gets reformed to Kamala's side, or does the literal Flash Thompson where she hates Kamala but loves Miss Marvel kind of thing, which it would be just weird.
I always find that stuff fun. I think that's really funny.
So,
Yeah,
but,
I like that Flash Thompson became Agent Venom.
so no, it's legit. I just feel like, again, that big overarching death machine kind of stuff. You know, the Wilson Fisk, the Kilgrave kind of characters. It doesn't fit. It doesn't fit the motif. You know, I think that the worst thing that needs to happen to her on a personal level should be that she's, you know, having to deal with being a Pakistani American teenager in New York City.
Right.
That's got to be hard enough all by itself.
Right.
It's the balance. I think part of the issue is that today it's basically become a bad word to say your show is episodic. Mm-hmm. So everybody needs to have these season-long arcs, because if not, you're episodic, and then you're old Star Trek, and nobody wants to watch that, and you're Monster of the Week, and so now it's everything is story arcs. I don't think everything has to be a 10 to 13 episode story arc. You can have 3 episodes that are just really good 3 episodes, and you can have a single episode that's a great standalone episode. You don't necessarily need...
Bottle episodes are fantastic.
I love bottle episodes.
I think that there's a lot to be said for those, because, you know, it's like if I was to sit down tomorrow and pop on Netflix and just see what somebody had, you know, oh, okay, my roommate's watching Netflix. Oh, he's on this thing, and just hit the button and it starts in Daredevil episode 7. I'll be like, well, crap, now I got to back it all the way up to 1 and watch this. Like, you know, episodic, you know, self-contained stories, I think, don't get enough.
I just don't think that that's right for Netflix, because the whole point of Netflix is that you can binge watch a show for 13 hours. So having a 13-hour story, or however many episodes your season is, I don't think works as well on Netflix.
I disagree, because I feel like the big benefit to Netflix is that studio execs who get cold feet can't kill the show halfway through. That's what I think the big benefit to Netflix is.
Well, I'm talking about as a viewer.
But like here's a good example. So lots of shows that were not on Netflix are now viewable on Netflix after they're over, right? And you have a show like How I Met Your Mother. We've been kind of binge watching.
How many seasons do those shows have?
Well, they have like 8 or 9 seasons.
Exactly. You're talking about a show that has 13 episodes versus a show that has 20 plus episode seasons, 7 times that. Well, no, I'm saying that an overarching plot in that format, I think, is better.
Well, I just mean that I can sit and watch these detached episodes, and How I Met Your Mother is a good example, because they were really good at catching you up if they referred to something that had already happened. You can drop into season 4, episode 7, and they will explain anything that you missed.
If you look at The Flash and Supergirl, which is more what their 2 shows are leaning towards, more family accessible, both of those shows have episodic natures, but they just have an overarching big bad.
Yeah.
They still have
That's true.
some monsters of the week, and they make very little references to other things.
And I feel that the style of storytelling that Daredevil and Jessica Jones engages in, which requires this slow build of tension over like 13 episodes. So by the time you get to episode 12, the stakes are so high that if Matt Murdock takes one toe out of alignment, he could very well be just dead there. Won't work well for a Squirrel Girl or for Miss Marvel, because it doesn't fit the character.
Well, yeah, I'm not talking about doing like a 13-hour Stranger Things movie where it's, there's one story going on, really,
right, yeah.
and all 13 episodes, or 8 episodes for that, are all leading up to it. But, there are episodic things in mind, but I definitely want an overall arc, because then you get the payoff at the end.
That's fine.
Yeah, and that's cool. I think that with Daredevil, for example, I think that while...
Daredevil's a huge build-up for...
It's huge, right? And I love the first season. I think the first season is absolutely fantastic. But I also think they probably could have cut out an episode or 2 and made it a little more succinct. And I'm not saying they needed to, but I'm saying that if it had been 10 episodes, would it have lost anything? Probably not. And I think that's part of the problem.
You would have lost some character development from Foggy and the relationship between... Because I feel like I know what episodes you would be wanting to cut out.
I'm actually not thinking of anything specific right now.
But my thing is, I feel like you could have cut out probably a couple of fight scenes and a few more episodes and put that character development back.
Because there's some really great fight scenes. And the choreographers are great. The stuntmen are great. The hall scene is phenomenal. I don't want to take anything away from a quality perspective. But, it's one of those things where it's like, you look at a director who likes, like Zack Snyder, who likes to make a 3.5, 4 hour long movie, right? They're like, okay, you got to cut this down to put it in theaters. When Netflix gives you a license to write 13 episodes, I feel like it may be too much sometimes for that one story. And when you're trying to make season 1 is this, sometimes 13 episodes is too much.
To be honest, a lot of their creators pitched that when Jason Momoa pitched his show to Netflix. He's like, I only need this many episodes. And they're like, you got it.
Yeah, I don't know how much creative control or how much control like the company has if they're saying like, well, we need a 13 episode
Right.
or we need an 8 episodes.
I feel like Netflix gives them what they want because it doesn't
Yeah.
matter to them
They might,
if
yeah.
they put up 13 files on their website or 10 files.
But the thing is who wants it? Is it Marvel Studios that wants it, or the guys running the show? So
because does
here's an
Marvel
example.
really make any extra money over 13 episodes
No.
than they would over 10?
No,
Probably
they
not.
really don't. But here's an example though. And I know you guys kind of make fun of me when I bring Star Trek into it, but this just came out. So Star Trek Discovery, the new show for CBS All Access, is 13 episodes. Brian Fuller didn't even want 13 episodes. He said he'd be happier with 10 because they kept asking him if he's going to ask for 14. I don't know why. They keep asking him, are you going to ask for 14? He goes, absolutely not. He'd rather have 10, but the network gave him 13.
Well,
And I
Gotham
think
had
that's
that same
because
issue.
shows used to be 26 episodes. That's literally a half order. And I think that's where that number came from. Whether Marvel's picking that number on purpose or not, I don't know. But it's what shows have started to do. Family Guy started producing their DVDs in 13-episode groups and things like that. They weren't seasons anymore. They were volumes, right? But now with Netflix in that game, it's a little weird. HBO does 8 to 10 episode seasons a lot.
Walking Dead started it 7 years ago. And it was such a risk to do Walking Dead on TV because they had been passed up by so many other networks, and AMC was like, look, you give us 6 good episodes, we'll give you a whole lot of runtime and stuff like that. So they got a 2-hour first episode, a 2-hour finale, and they made the most out of those 6 episodes. And I will say this, I do not watch the show anymore because it has become a serial of let's kill off every side character we introduce. But those first 6 episodes...
No, Game of Thrones kills off
Main characters.
everybody.
But sometimes they come back.
But those
They got
first 6
better.
episodes were some of the best, episodic, with an overarching big bad show I've ever seen.
Yeah.
And they follow the comics pretty well, but the diversions they took were phenomenal.
They kind of got back to that in season 6 if you ever watch it again, but...
I might not. I like reading Wikipedia now to catch up on shows. I still like to be knowledgeable about what's going on. So I've read all the Wikipedias for all the shows that I don't watch.
I think one of the advantages to something like Netflix is that you make it all together and release it all at once, and you have that advantage of
You have a
knowing.
complete story. You
And
know that your
everything
story
that-
that you want to do is complete.
Everything Netflix original, they never take down. They have never been like, Orange is the New Black is only on for this, and this.
No.
But if you're waiting for the show to come out on DVD, you're going to be waiting for a while.
yeah.
Because I think
Really
season 1 of
long
Daredevil
time.
just came out on DVD
Yeah.
or is getting ready to come out.
But I mean, when you look at normal networks, and we were talking a bit like why Netflix, right? When you look at normal network television, creators never know if they're going to get to finish telling their story.
Yeah.
They might have to draw it out because they
Right.
weren't planning to get a
They have to
renewal
do tricks
or
like in Sleepy Hollow where they flat out announce us for the next 7 years. Like in the very first episode, Ichabod Crane says, you and I are the battlers of demons for the next 7 years. Like, they have to say that kind of stuff, otherwise they're canceled.
Well, I mean, it's like I keep thinking back to Straczynski in Babylon 5 when he got told, halfway through season 4, hey, this is the last episode, this is the last season you're going to get. And at the end of season 4, they're like, hey, make one more. And he's like, it's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, real quick, Doc Rev finally joined us. He had kind of a rough night helping someone with some car issues. So he says that his Tuesday has been ruined because he missed the podcast.
Aw.
But we're sorry,
It'll
man.
be live tomorrow. You can watch it in our past broadcasts.
Yeah,
so.
you can listen to the podcast tomorrow. The video will be up on YouTube in a couple of days.
You can watch
We
the
can
past
sum it
broadcast on
up,
Twitch.
so-
Yeah, you can do that too.
We were pitching our own Netflix shows just now, and to fit into the Marvel universe, Ryan pitched Squirrel Girl,
Mm-hmm.
and Russ pitched Ms. Marvel. Derek pitched Blade and the Night Stalkers, and I pitched Tigra.
So yeah, that's a pretty good recap.
Recap.
And we're pretty much at the hour mark. So any final thoughts, words, comments entire season-long arcs that you'd like
I
to...
have to
any
leave
of you guys
early.
have
I love you guys.
Did you?
Okay, well, Ray is stepping
Did
away.
any of you guys have like at the end of the series? You know, like on Daredevil season 2, we got like the teaser for Luke Cage.
Yeah,
Did any of you guys have anything like that?
mine was the Hydra lead-in for season 2. Where
Tigra is actually responsible for the creation of Hellcat, so I was going to have that connect and the next show lead into Hellcat.
Okay. I don't know if the mics picked that up or
I
not.
was gonna say I will not be so pretentious as to say what I think should happen with Kamala Khan. I will just say that she will not die anywhere in the series. She will survive. There will be no Game of Thronesing.
I'm good with that.
Kamala Khan.
Yeah, that seems like a good decision.
Yeah.
From a business perspective, especially.
I'm good with that. But basically, the end of my season 1 would have the Night Stalkers basically showing up in the Ukraine or something like that, just like getting out of the airport in Ukraine or something to that Siberia.
Season 2 or season 3, they have to fight Dracula.
Well, that's why I wanted to bring up Lilith in season 1,
Right.
and then they would come to Dracula, but I didn't want to
Gotcha.
give away the farm. So
Okay, all right, that's good.
yeah.
So my end episode, like teaser for the next season.
Brace for impact. Here we go.
She's defeated Chipmunk Hunk and Koi Boy, and she's going back to her apartment. It was a very stressful
really
fight. So this is going to be similar to like the end of the original Iron Man. She walks into her dorm room at her college, and there's a black shrouded figure by the window. You can see kind of smoke coming up from the figure, and oh, sorry. Okay, remember at this point that Fox has a deal because of Galactus, right? They've worked this out. So you hear as the light kind of comes and the camera pans up to the face, "I'm here to talk to you about the Great Lakes Avengers Initiative, bub." And it's Wolverine, and he's trying to set up.
Even though he's
dead, he's done. Hugh Jackman's coming back for this one role to set up the Great Lakes Avengers, and that's going to be my big Defenders version universe. We're going to have shows for all the other Great Lakes Avengers, and
so for those who don't know, who's in the Great Lakes
I don't even
Avengers?
remember. To be honest with you, there's
Some of the
Squirrel
most
Girls. Yeah, they're very useless characters in general.
Absolutely.
Wolverine kind of.
BS
Wolverine was
crap.
kind of a member for a while, so I guess he wasn't useless. And Squirrel Girl obviously isn't useless, but yeah, it's kind of a joke.
Great Lakes Avengers was a joke. It was a joke title.
It was like a knockoff of the real Avengers.
Obviously.
Like when you have when you need somebody that isn't quite as good as the. Hey, come on! I'm trying to set up another lighthearted
Sure.
thing. Yeah, fairly family friendly. So.
All right. Well, we are over the hour mark, so I think we are going to stop there. For those of you who joined us live, thank you. Thanks for talking with us. You can join us live every Tuesday night at 8 p.m. Central, live on Twitch at twitch.tv/griddaily. You can chat with us. We'll talk to you during the recording. Russ, how can people get a hold of you if they want to?
If they want to, you can find me on Facebook. Just search for Russ Matthews Photography. I'm going to be there for quite a while. I will go ahead and say I don't check Twitter. I'm on Twitter, but I don't check it very often, so Facebook's going to be the way to go.
Awesome. For us, the podcast, we're really excited. It's on Google Play now, so for those of you who are not iPhone users, it's on Google Play. So you can find the Screen Heroes podcast there. We have a feed burner as well. We're on iTunes at screen-heroes.com.
Give us a rating on iTunes, please.
Yes, please give us a rating on iTunes. It's the #1 place that people get podcasts still. If you give us a review, we promise to give you a shout out on the podcast. As of yesterday, there were no new reviews. I didn't check today.
And if you like having me on the podcast, definitely tell these two guys they should have me back.
If
you can put that in your review.
Put that in your review.
If you don't like him, definitely let us know that too.
Okay, yeah, no.
Don't put that in the review. No,
But
I'm
leave
kidding.
a review anyway.
That Russ guy.
That Russ guy.
You can find all of our stuff at griddaily.com. We're at griddaily on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and Tumblr and Vine and I'm sure something else. There's others, whatever.
God, man.
We do as much as we can. Ray and I will be in New York for Star Trek Mission New York this weekend, which is the Star Trek convention in New York City. So we'll have some cool interviews coming up with that. We've going to be meeting with Perfect World Entertainment about Star Trek Online. We'll be meeting with Ubisoft about the VR game, Star Trek Bridge Simulator. And we're going to be meeting with a couple of the authors who won the Strange New Worlds fan writer contest for the new book coming out this fall. So stay tuned for that stuff. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. We will catch you next time.